Hey everyone, welcome to vlog episode 43, Diary of a Multifaceted Mama. I am just feeling really good today. So if you are wanting like an energetic pick-me-up, or you're just in a good energy and you want to connect with someone that's in that momentum, this is for you. I am feeling so in this flow state of deep like connection and purpose, and I feel invigorated and rejuvenated and joyful and just good, and like, but also at peace all at the same time, for so many reasons, but I'm just so grateful right now. I've been having really amazing conversations with clients who are having really deep transformational progress, and that always just like it just fills my heart so much. And I've been having a lot of fun with my kids this summer so far. Today was my 5-year-old last day of soccer practice, and I got to go and watch him. Usually my husband takes him because it's on a time frame when I usually am working with clients. So we had it set up where my husband could take him. But today I arranged my schedule so that I could be there and I could watch him, and that was awesome to be there for his last soccer practice. And then he got a haircut. Now, if you don't know what my 5-year-old looks like, he has been growing his hair out for over 3 years. He's only 5 years old, right? He's been growing his hair out for over 3 years. It's this beautiful, luscious, curly locks. Like, oh, like it's just gorgeous down to the middle of his back. And last weekend he said, I decided I'm ready to get my hair cut. And we're like, all right. Really, he was tired of us brushing it, right? He didn't want to brush anymore to get the knots out. And that's totally fine. It's his hair. It's his body, right? It's up to him. And so we did that today, and oh my gosh, he looks so much older, and just the process of watching him get his hair cut, and my whole family, so me, my husband, and all 4 of our kids, we were all there watching him like get his first haircut. Oh, like it brings tears to my eyes, just getting to have those experiences with my family, those things that seem small and simple, like a first haircut, right? Just sharing in that energetically together. And all of us were so excited for him and so proud of him. He just went in there and he just had a good time, and he was socializing with the hairdresser, and she was great, and we really loved her energy, and she was just so kind and social, and it was such a great experience. And so overall, I just am flowing with really great, really positive energy. And I think that it's a really great thing to just share that for myself, to reinforce that for myself, but then also for all of you who just need or want, to benefit from that shared energy right now. It's just a beautiful thing to be able to share. So one of the things that I also wanted to share today, kind of connected to that, but also kind of like a segue from that, is this thing I've been thinking about more and more. I think about it often, but as far as like putting words to it, I've been putting words to it more and more these past few weeks. And I wanted to talk about that today. And it's this idea that, in a world where there's so much like chaos and division and disconnection, because all of us in some way, shape, or form, right? So the intensity is a bit different for all of us, and the way it affects us is a bit different for all of us, but all of us in some way, shape, or form, we judge other people, and therefore we are also judged, right? There's this reciprocity of that, and judgment can be in like a really critical, negative way. It can be, I think judgment and overall as a term carries a negative connotation to it, but judgment can also be like an observation. To some people, it could mean an observation of something, and then in that observation, kind of discerning some information from it, right? So that could be a form of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not judgment and it's not observation, but it's like this sense of, I don't know, it'll come to me. But this sense of like, we all are looking at one another. We're kind of reading the situation, and we're creating assumptions based off of experiences we've had in life and associations we've had in life. So we're creating assumptions of what we are seeing in other people with the information we have at hand, which is often not the whole picture, right? So in this world where we are all doing that in some capacity, we're all looking at the world and at other people through our own lens, and we are gathering our own understanding from it. We are observing it through our own lens, our own perception, creating our own stories about what we are seeing. We're all judging in some way. And if we're all judging in some way, observing in some way other people, then it makes sense why so many of us are also concerned about being judged, right? How is someone else going to perceive me? How is someone else going to see me? That's a normal human social species type of behavior, especially with how developed our brains are as compared to other species, right? So we have the ability to be like, I'm judging you, you're judging me, right? Like, what are we thinking about one another? And that's beneficial to some extent, right? It's beneficial in that we want to be able to assess if something is safe or not for us. It helps us to figure out our preferences, who we do and do not want to have certain relationships with, certain interactions with. So it's beneficial to us in many ways. But sometimes we take it too far, right? And not necessarily to any one person's fault. It's not like we want to take it too far, right? But sometimes we do take it too far. Oftentimes that's because of trauma that we've experienced. And it's not necessarily because of what we think trauma is. I think I did a video on that, but if I didn't, I will. So I was just talking about that earlier this week. Trauma is not what a lot of people think it is. It's so much more. But when we are concerned or fearful or so scared to the level of feeling traumatized because of trauma we've experienced in our lives before, of how other people are going to judge us, that feels so scary, then what can happen is we feel disconnected from the world because it just doesn't feel safe, right? Like they're going to judge me, and they're not going to like me, or they're going to reject me, or they're going to shut me down, or they're going to kick me out, or I'm going to be abandoned, or whatever the case is, right? Like I'm just not going to be accepted. I'm not going to be wanted. I'm going to fail, right? All of these fears that can come up when we're thinking about how other people are thinking about us, it makes it so that it actually feeds into the disconnection that we have in our world. It actually feeds into the division that we have in our world. It actually feeds into the chaos, because now we're like, oh, I need to protect myself, or I need to distance myself from people that I think will judge me in that way, or from people I am judging in a certain way. And it bolsters the fear rather than reduces the fear that we have of other people and other judgments and things like that. And it causes us to judge more and more and more and more as well. And so with that comes a world where, and systems where it is petrifying to just be our freaking selves. It is petrifying to just vulnerably express our authentic selves. Because if I vulnerably express who I really am and you don't like it, or you lash out at me, or you criticize me, or you judge me in some negative way, and that pulls up trauma for me, and I don't even realize it's pulling up trauma for me, right? Then that doesn't feel safe. And if it doesn't feel safe for me to just authentically be myself, to authentically express myself, because that's way too vulnerable, then I'm not going to do that, right? Instead, I'm going to look at the world about how can I protect myself? How can I make sure I keep myself away from those people or those things that feel dangerous or scary to me, right? How can I create this distance between me and that or them? And in so doing, more division, more disconnection, more chaos, and less understanding, less connection, less unity. And our differences, they get blown up in a negative light rather than pieced together like different pieces of a puzzle in a positive light. And if we're doing that, we can't be our authentic selves. We can't express our authentic selves. And if we can't express our authentic selves in a vulnerable way that's also safe and secure, then what kind of relationships are we having in this world? What kind of systems are we building in this world? When we're building systems and making policy decisions or parenting decisions or partnering decisions from that place of disconnection, of protection, of pushing against, what kind of world are we creating? And so I think, I really believe, really deeply believe, that it is the most courageous, bold, powerful thing we can do in this world to get to a place where we can authentically, vulnerably express ourselves in this world. When we can do more and more of that, regardless of how we think someone else may think of us, when we can do more and more of that, then we can not push so hard against other people or other things or organizations or whatever it is that feels like it's not jiving with us or pulls up a fear or a trauma for us. We cannot push so hard against that, and therefore we're going to reduce the gap, and we're going to begin to be able to create more bridges of unity, of connection, of love, of conversation, of compassion, of all of those things that help us to heal and progress, right? Rather than regress. Not regress isn't the right word, but rather than digress, right? And move away from each other. So, all that to say that the words that have been coming up for me really strongly these past couple weeks is, it is the most bold and courageous thing that anyone can do in this world to self-express authentically and fully and vulnerably from a place of compassion, confidence, and care. That is the single most powerful, most courageous, most bold thing any of us can do. Isn't that powerful? Like, can't you just feel it in your bones? Like, can't you just feel that? I can. So I want to just share that here today because it's just been coming up for me so strongly, and it connects so deeply with my mission, my vision, my purpose in this world and the work that I do, whether it's as a professional, as a therapist, as a mentor, but or just who I am, right? As a mom, as a partner, as a human, as a woman, as a minority. Like, it just connects so deeply in my roots, in my heart, in my core, like in my soul. It just connects with me so deeply. So I wanted to share that today because I know I'm not the only person it connects with. I see it and I hear it in so many of the clients that I work with. And so I want to share that with you too, because maybe this is something that you need to hear or wanted to hear, or maybe it reinforces something for you, because we need to be able to do that. But it feels so unsafe when so many of us have had relational traumas in our history where it hasn't felt safe to be ourselves. I am one of those people. I grew up believing that I was not wanted and that there was not a place where I fit in this world. Even though in my core, I knew that I was here for a purpose, and I had faith that that purpose would one day be shown to me. And it seemed like they were contradictory. Like, how could I believe that? How could I believe I'm here for a purpose with purpose and have faith about that, but then also question like my human existence and me not being wanted in this world? Like, it sounds so counterintuitive, like, right? Like, doesn't it sound like so dichotomous? But they were both true. I struggled with both of them because one was like, I could feel one like really deep in my core and my soul and know that it was like really, really true for me. But also I grappled with the other one socially in the world. I'm like, but I don't fit here and I don't fit here and I don't fit here. Like, no one wants me to be myself. They don't want me in the first place. Like, I'm the black sheep. I'm too different. Like, no one gets me. So this is such a big thing, and it's not. I thought that I was alone in that experience, right, when I was going through it, but the truth is that I hear about folks that have this experience within themselves in their own flavor, their own variation, day after day after day. And so I think these conversations are so important to have, and if we're not having them, then don't we feel more and more alone in our experience of them? And take what you want from this, take what you need. Leave what you don't. Leave what you don't like, leave what you don't need, or pose a question about it. Like, have a conversation in the comments about it. Contribute to it if you feel so called to contribute to it. But this is a message that needs to be heard. This is a message that needs to be replicated. This is a message that needs to be echoed and permeated so that it is being able to be experienced, expressed, reinforced for others that are out there that are like, yes, yes, yes. So if you were one of those ones that needed to hear this today, thanks for tuning in. Share this video, hit subscribe. That way you'll be able to get updates on when the next vlog is coming out or the next video that I produce or whatever the case is. But I appreciate that you're here. Whether this is something that resonates for you or something that pushes a button for you or whatever the case is today or not. I know I certainly had it on my heart and wanted to share it. Until next time, y'all. See ya.